We are live. We are live.
Hey,
Got
everybody.
We're here, Mark Richardson. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Sunday night. Tonight we're going to be talking about horror movies with witches and witches in general.
That's right.
Now, today you said was a special anniversary of something, Mark.
It's the day that the five witches were hung. I believe they were the first of the hanging in Salem in 1692. I want to name off these people because there were no witches in Salem in 1692. They didn't exist. It was a way. They were Puritans. It was a way to get their property because what they had to do is either confess that they were witches and they could just leave the town, go. Of course, because they were Puritans, they knew they'd go straight to hell when they died,
Wow.
or not confess, say that they're pure in heart and stuff like that, and be hung. And so these people, they got hung. They said, okay, my belief in God, kill me. So they killed them. And it's like the worst of the worst. I mean, we talk about a lot, but let me name off these girls, these women, because they were the bravest women in the world. We had Sarah Good, Rebecca Nurse, Susanna Martin, Elizabeth Have, and Sarah Wilds. They were hung on this day in 1692. The Salem witch trials, to me, is fascinating. Have you ever been to Salem?
I've never been to Salem. One thing I wanted to say is thank everybody for watching. Y'all guys hit that share button, and I want y'all to comment and let us know what you think of the Salem witch trials. If you've been to Salem, and what's your favorite horror movie with witches in them? Because witches can be very spooky. Liz says, hi, guys. Hi, Liz. And Norman says, what's up, Mark? What's up, Sarge? What's going on, Norman?
Hey, Norman.
Jody says, evening. Good evening, Jody.
Hey, Jody.
Kane says, love this. We love having you all here, Kane. Be sure to let us know what's your favorite horror movie with witches. And if anybody's ever been to Salem, let us know. I'm assuming, have you been to Salem, Mark?
Yeah, I've been all about that. I'm all about that place. We both love Salem. They have a museum there. They have the places where they were put in jail. It's beautiful. It's tragic. And I mean, it's a huge pagan and Wicca population. And they have a really like Disneyland museum with the witches and stuff to tell the story.
Wow.
They also have, which I really love, is on Bewitched, the TV show Bewitched. They did an episode. We had a fire at Universal Studios and destroyed all our studios, and so they were filming that at the time, and they went to Salem and shot the rest of the season in Salem.
Wow.
But there's a huge Bewitched statue there, which I thought was really cool. Also, the police cars have witches on their car, like on the side of their door. They have witches, so it's an amazing place.
So they're capitalizing off the Salem witch trials, in order to populate it with tourism and earn some money, pretty much.
Yeah, but they also have monuments, saying, by the church, saying, apologizing for being that illiterate and being that kind of uneducated and for killing innocent people. The church actually has a monument there, which is good. But I think there's still, and of course they went and they keep, saying, coming out saying who these people were, and they were not witches. But there's still like I think 4 or 5 of them that they've never honored and said that these are not witches. And like I say, no witches existed at all in Salem during this time. They were the purest of. They were Puritans. They were the purest of the pure, and they died. They died because of their beliefs in God and stuff like that. I mean, I just wanted to start this off with that and go into witches, But,
when I think about, when I remember studying about the Salem witch trials, it was kind of like it was a land grab for the church.
Oh, yeah.
They picked the most powerful people and said, "Okay, give us your land. Oh, by the way, you're a witch. We got to take the land."
Yeah, they definitely. It was. I mean, how it comes about. There was a what was his name? Parrish. The Samuel Parrish was the pastor, and the pastors back then were like the sheriffs. They were the governor. They had the power, and all the people that started being accused by his child and his child's friends, because they started freaking out and saying they were possessed, were all his enemies. And so he was able to wipe these people out, and the church would, of course, obtain their property. It's really horrible. It's
Kind of
horrible.
like the way they do drug dealers now. They arrest somebody for selling a little bit of marijuana and take their whole house, car, home, and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that really sucks because, parents that have nothing to do with their kid who's like 18 and a loser, gets caught in a drug deal and they lose their home because of their idiot kid. But, we had this at the house. This is how we see witches. And they're wearing similar outfits that were worn, in Salem, which always cracks me up. It's always the hat and the cloak. They dress 16th century, and I'm always amazed that that it all came basically because of Salem. I mean, that's how we designed our witches. That little statue there was from Disney's the first cartoon called Trick or Treat, and it was the first time. It was like 1952 that they showed trick or treating to the world. They've never showed trick or treating ever to as a holiday thing, and it was 1952 that Witch Hazel, I believe her name was, appeared with Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and there was one was a skeleton, one was a devil, and the other one had a pumpkin on top of his head. But yeah, it was the very first time that we saw trick or treating with that witch.
Well, Peter Morton says that his favorite movie is Suspiria, both versions, when it comes to witches.
Wow, both versions.
Scott says, "Hi, Sarge. Hi, Mark. Hey, Scott. Things good." Jody says, The witch has not been, but would love to. He hasn't been to Salem, but would love to. Jay says, not a popular opinion, but I really like Lords of Salem. Lords of Salem is one of those movies you either get it and like it, or you're like, it's not the typical, witch movie.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a lot of films about witches that are that have that opinion. Blair Witch, the movie The Witch. You either loved it or you hated it, and it's kind of weird that it has that kind of power.
Vicky says, hello, guys. Hey, Vicky. Ben says, love your work, Mark. I'm a film student.
Thanks, brother.
Sarah says, hey, guys. Hey, Sarah. Hey. Angela says, Salem is so full of history and beauty. I believe it.
It really is. I mean, it's a place to go. The people there are really, really cool, too.
Mike says, burn, witch, burn, and Night of the Eagle.
Yeah.
And Vicky says, happy to be back. What's the discussion tonight? Horror movies with witches and witches in general. Chris says, what is up, Mark, and horror?
Chris.
Rob says the Suspiria.
Wow, a lot of people going with Suspiria. I think a lot of people don't realize that's a witch movie, but yeah, it's a hardcore witch movie.
Dennis says Lords of Salem is Zombie's best film.
Wow. Jessica Harper, who stars in Suspiria, the show I was working on before the pandemic, I was working with her, and my mind was blown when she stepped on stage, because I was like, so I'm taking pictures with her, and people are going, well, why are you? This is Jessica Harper, the star of Suspiria and Phantom of the Paradise. So I was just working with her right before all hell broke loose.
Yeah, Lisa says, I live an hour from Salem. They have a satanic church there. New England has awesome history and not a scary movie per se. The Witches of Eastwick.
That's a great movie. Yeah, that's a fun movie with Jack Nicholson. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Derek says humans are the true monsters.
Hell yeah.
And Sadie says Suspiria was an interesting movie with witches. I don't think it was a super horror movie, but more of a drama and suspense. I agree with you. A lot of movies that aren't neatly found somewhere else are getting put in the horror category, which we're a big tent. A lot of wide ranges and different types of movies, that are horror. Alexander says The Witch and The Craft. The Craft is classic,
They're remaking The Craft. The Craft is being redone. I like The Craft. I love The Witch too. I thought it was a ballsy move to do it in the vein. Like when you watch The Witch, you're seeing it from the eyes of that time, and a lot of people I don't think really caught it. There's the very beginning of that movie when me and Angela went to see it. There's a scene where they abduct the witches take a baby, and three women got up and stormed out of the theater, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good."
Vicky says, "I dress how I want to dress."
I hope it's witchy.
Emily said, "Lords of Salem."
Love for Rob. I'm surprised, you guys. You guys know I'm a Rob Zombie guy. So
Matt says Hansel.
Yeah,
Hansel.
Yeah, the witch hunting, Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad flick. I mean,
I like those actors.
You
ever see
The Witches?
Yeah, The Witches is good. You ever see it's not scary at all. In fact, I believe Bewitched is based on it. It's called Bell, Book, and Candle. It's about a normal guy that falls in love with a witch, and it's badass. It's a very hip, cool, early 60s film. I Married a Witch is what they say Bewitched is based on. Watch A Bell, Book, and Candle because it's such a good movie. Not scary, but a good movie.
My favorite TV show is Charmed.
I forgot all about. I worked on Charmed. I day played on that. Yeah.
The other one I liked is Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, the remake of it.
The remake's badass.
Canceled. That was really dark,
Hell yeah, it's good. I wonder if they're going to do Wendy.
Are we discussing witchcraft or films? Both. We just discuss whatever you guys want to discuss with us about this.
Yeah. We're talking.
Dennis says Jessica Harper was in Stardust Memories.
And she was brilliant in that. I love her. Love her, love her, love her.
And Liz says The Craft, The Witches of Eastwick. Witches was my fave as a kid. Hocus Pocus.
Yeah. I worked with one of the witches from Hocus Pocus on a show called Make It or Break It. She was really sweet.
And guys, if you guys are watching this, like I said, be sure to share this up. If you know a friend that likes to hang out and talk horror, tag them in this and make sure they get to see it. We're just, just to think that 5 people was hung on this date back in Salem, and where we look at witches now in these horror movies, it's amazing. And I'm going to catch up on some of these comments real quick. We showed that. Chris says The Witches of Eastwick was absolutely my favorite, even having to endure Cher.
I think she was good in that.
The Worst Witch with Farousa Balk.
The Worst Witch. Yeah.
Rochelle.
Tim Curry was in that one. The Worst Witch.
Yep.
We got American Horror Story. You got Coven.
Lords of Salem Forever.
Wow.
Mark says, hi, everyone. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Return of the Living Dead.
There are no witches in that.
Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was fantastic.
Yeah. Do you have any Rosemary's Baby fans out there?
Nah, that director isn't good.
Yeah.
I have seen Bell, Book, and Candle when I was 13. I don't remember that one. Liz makes a good point that I haven't heard anybody say. Marianne on Netflix. That is definitely a witch movie worth seeing. A TV show.
I haven't seen that one. That's what I love about these things. You got people, stuff that are off my radar. They pop it in here.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, that Narnia.
The Narnia.
K&B effects.
All the witch movies are good, but if I had to choose one, it would be Lords of Salem. I'm surprised there's so many Lords of Salem fans on
Me
here.
too, man. Where are you guys when I'm fighting guys off about those things?
American Horror Story: The Covenant was amazing.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Does Carrie count? Yeah.
Telekinesis. Her mom thought she was a witch.
Any witch movie other than Hansel, Gretel, Witch Hunters, Hocus Pocus, maybe. I tell you, one of my favorite ones is The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant one.
Brilliant witch movie that took a new spin. If you guys haven't watched The Autopsy of Jane Doe, it's a must watch.
Yeah, that's good. It throws you. That's a good one, and it's creepy too. I love it.
Sarah says, I am an eclectic witch. I have a connection to nature, which is what I base my practices on as far as witches in entertainment. Lords of Salem, The Witch, Bewitched, and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah.
Liz Witch's Return to Oz. That's another good one.
Well, Wizard of Oz, here you have a good witch and a bad witch, especially in that time period where we were being told that all witches are evil. They're she's pushing a good witch. I thought that was great.
Lords of Salem always gets crap, so good to see the fans on here. Shauna says the best film is Hocus Pocus. Didn't mean Last House on the Left. She had commented Last House on the Left, which is a good movie. It's
good movie.
No.
I like that and the remake.
Scott says Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Should invite. Never mind. Mark says Warlock.
There are no real warlocks. That's a myth. There's only male. You could be a male witch. Warlock is a term that Universal Studios and movie people made up. There never was a warlock. You have female witches and you have male witches. But yeah, whatever.
Era of the Witch is filming now. Actually,
I don't know anything about it. Look for it.
Have to look for it.
Any Blair Witch fans out there?
The newer movie Gretel and Hansel.
Yeah.
Now, let's try to cut it on here and see. You talk about Blair Witch. I was really a big fan when that first came out. The first one was really great. It was brilliant because the found footage thing hadn't been overdone like it has now.
Yeah, it started. Promotional wise, it was the most brilliant thing I'd ever experienced. By the time I watched it, the hype was so big that I was disappointed with it, and it took me. And I didn't watch it. I badmouthed it for years. But I was working on Queen of the South with the director, and I was blown away by how good of a director he was. That I went and saw Blair Witch again, and I go, you know what? This is a pretty good, damn good movie. After I bitched about it, so.
It was when you take a situation like the Blair Witch where he probably didn't have many funds, he didn't have any resources.
Right out of college. It was a college.
Right out of college, and they go out and they do that and they go viral before the internet, really took off. I remember people leaving the theaters and going up to Maryland to actually look for the actors in the movies because everybody thought Blair Witch was real.
Oh my God, that's like the modern day War of the Worlds. I had a friend that hitchhiked. He was camping in Hawaii in a tent, and he hitchhiked to see the movie and had to hitchhike back and stay in the tent. He said he was scared for a week.
Wow. Yeah, and the payoff on that wasn't great at the end, but I understand why he did it that way because it was spooky, but it wasn't what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I wasn't a big fan of the payoff and stuff. Tell me, everybody I knew made a parody of that movie. Did you do any kind of parody of it?
Nah, I always tried to shy away from that one iconic shot where she's blowing boogers out of her head.
I can't believe it. It was in everybody was making that. It was funny. Linda Blair did the Linda Blair Bitch Project, which I thought was funny.
Chris says Blair Witch was a horror version of Clerks. That's very good analysis right there. Chris says the Demon and Charmed are freaking awesome, except for when they killed off the Halliwell. They should have kept her in through all the seasons, like bring her back. I was disappointed.
I could see Shudder or one of these fields bringing back Charmed, especially with the success of what's happening with witches and stuff. I could see that coming back. Even Buffy, I could see Buffy coming back. We had demons in that.
One I forgot was Mother of Tears. I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, so but let's go back to the Blair Witch, guys. Y'all comment and let us know. Did you like Blair Witch, the original Blair Witch Project, or did you like the remake? Because let's talk about the remake for a second. I hated the damn remake.
Yeah, the remake just didn't work. Yeah, I like the sequel they did a while back that didn't do well, but I liked that. I thought the sequel was pretty good.
The Blair Witch Book of Shadows?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. They started Blair Witch 1 with, found footage, and then they said, okay, we made a bunch of money. We could afford to flip some of this money and do it a regular movie. And the fans really didn't like it.
Yeah, it wasn't a big hit, but
it wasn't horrible. It was just weird. Chris says Charmed is rebooted on CW.
Oh, it is rebooted.
Yeah. And Blair Witch worked because the actors could be you, me, anyone, not Hollywood A-listers. I agree, but the problem is now is when you take a movie to a distributor, they don't want to pick up your movie unless it's got a C or D or B or A-list actor in it. So it's really hard to break out unknown actors in a movie unless you got some names. That's why you'll see some of these horror movies with, a big name on it, and then you watch it, and the big name's only in the movie for like 15 seconds.
That's right. That's right.
So they get distribution for the rest of the film.
It's all that matters. It's all that matters.
Mother of Tears is Argento.
Yeah, Argento. I have to check that out.
The remake is the same movie. I agree. The problem with the remake is I saw some behind the scenes footage with that, and you're out there trying to create a found footage movie. Okay, that is very easy to do, but Hollywood tends to overthink things. So they were using like the red camera or whatever, like a real Hollywood camera, to simulate GoPro footage. Use a damn GoPro if you're trying to get GoPro footage. I mean, it was too Hollywoody. Too color corrected, too much CGI. I like it wasn't really it was like a remake / sequel, but because
they were searching for him. He was
going for his sister, so it wasn't a remake. It was more of a sequel. I'm sorry.
I just think that they should have been more interesting. Do you like The Conjuring?
I like The Conjuring. I love the scene. I mean, it's what I call bubblegum horror. It's just like jump scare horror. So it's like, ha, ha, ha,
ha. I like it up to a point.
It's like a heart. Got some good seeds in it. I like the clap.
The clap's brilliant. The clap's brilliant. The witch up on the cover board was good. My friend, I knew the girl that actually did the clap, and she called me up and says, "You're not going to believe it. I get to be a ghost." And I clap my hands. I'm like, what is this for? And when I saw it, I go, hey, that's my friend's hands clapping there. And she was a stand-in, and that's who does the clapping. I don't like it when they get into the exorcism at the end. I think the whole ending is really weak. And once again, it's supposed to be based on a true story. There were no witches in Salem. The girl that hangs herself is supposed to be related to an actual, and they actually name an actual witch from Salem and saying that she was a witch and stuff. And that, it's going to bug me now because I looked into this, and I'm such a believer that there are no witches in Salem when they say,
But I'm going to have to disagree with you, Mark. There could have been witches in Salem, but they weren't part of the Salem witch trial.
Yeah, I don't think any witches would hang out around that area because you know, at that time.
Yeah, they would. It's kind of like the guy in The Usual Suspect says the greatest thing that the devil did was convince him he didn't exist.
Yeah,
Because there was witches in Salem, the best thing they could have did was convince people that there were these other people were witches and then just live.
the only way I would see witches is someone killed my parents, hung my parents. Also, no witches were burned in America. People always say, "No, they burned the witches." That's all European stuff. All the Spanish Inquisitions, they were bastards. But there was no burning of witches here in America. But what? Yeah.
Liz says bed knobs and broomsticks, Harry Potter and Covenant.
But I was going to say,
Go ahead.
the only way I could see someone becoming a witch is like if my mother or father or family were hung for being witches, knowing that they wasn't. I would be so angry. And back then, you know, if there's a God, obviously Satan exists. I would sell my soul to Satan and say, "Give me power to kill these people." I could see someone becoming a witch for revenge, you know, because of seeing, you know, innocent people getting killed in the name of God. I could see that happening.
Sean says Blair Witch gave me motion
A lot of
sickness.
people.
Chris said the remake was good on Blair Witch. Sorry, but I tried to watch the movie and couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
The director did a similar movie about Area 51 that was better than Blair Witch. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Liz says the serpent in the rainbow. That's voodoo, so that would fall under.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was voodoo that basically started the whole witch thing. With it, one of the slaves was a Jamaican. She knew voodoo and was teaching the daughters voodoo tricks, and that's how it became Satan. And you know, they didn't know, they didn't understand her religion and thought it was satanic, and that's how it all started.
Chris says they have books of shadows and Charmed, and really loved when the Grams would come on when she would magically turn the pages. I didn't like the Blair Witch remake, which too much, but the original was much better. Elvira, Mystica of the Dark is fantastic. She has a witch in it.
I love that movie.
I think the three girls should have been tried.
Yeah, they should have been punished.
Salem.
They all should have been punished.
What do you think is the most credible real life witch legend?
I just don't think witches exist. I believe I don't
What?
believe there is evil witches. You know, they were killing off women, burning women because they knew herbs and they knew, you know, stuff like that. I don't know, unless there's a witch movie where somebody, like I said, did it in revenge, became, I could see somebody being satanic and evil because of horrible things as a revenge thing.
Let's back up. You don't believe witches exist?
I don't believe it. You know, everybody I know from the Satan Church and stuff like that. I mean, I believe that you know, I believe there's people that think they're witches, but I don't think, I should say evil, black magic, hatred, cursing people. You know, I don't think that really exists. I just, every time I meet witches or Wicca or any of that stuff, they're better than I'll ever be. They're good people. You know, they care more about being vegan and taking care of animals than they do putting death curses on people. Every time I find evil entities or evil devices and stuff like that, it never comes from an occult. It comes from a, you know, and I'm sure there's effed up people that start occults because they're deranged and they think Satan's going to help them. I mean, that exists. I'm just saying witches per se are better than Christians any day. They're good people and they don't put curses on people. I mean,
So what you're saying is you believe in white magic, but you don't believe there's like black magic witches out there.
I believe that if they're, I don't believe they're witches. I think they might think they are, you know, you know, because there are books of spells and all that stuff exists. I'm just saying the people are like effed up in the brain. They're using, they want to become super evil, so they're making their own. It's a made up religion. Anton LaVey and Aleister Crowley. None of these people that people considered to be the kings of the Satanic Church. They were all good people. They believed in revenge, but they didn't. They wouldn't go after people. What's that?
Aleister Crowley was crazy as hell.
Oh, they're both nut jobs.
Yeah.
But but they're still they weren't evil nut jobs. They were evil only because people thought they were.
Let me pose this question. Everybody watching, like I said, share this up, share it up, share it up, hit the like button, and let us know, do you believe witches, black witches, white witches? When I say black and white, I don't mean skin color. I mean good witches and bad witches. Do they exist? Let me know if you believe this. In the comments, yes or no. Me and Mark want to know, do you believe it? Now, let's talk about this real quick. The Witches, the movie. The slow burn that has the goat in it. That is super freaking slow.
Black Phillip, Black Phillip, Black Phillip.
Do you like that movie?
Yeah, I think it was brilliant. I didn't like it when I first saw it. I watched it again. I was informed what I didn't understand, and once I knew what I was understanding, I liked it.
I was just like, man, this is slow. This is slow. And they say mercy 500 freaking times in that movie. It seems like every other line is mercy, 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 please. And the only thing he had to do was swallow his pride a little bit, and they could have stayed in the village and none of that would happen. But I mean, what would you do? And I want to know what everybody else would do. What would you do if a goat come up to you and said, yo, you want to live deliciously?
I kind of think I'd go for it. I thinking the way I am, everything would be blown away because everything that I think doesn't exist would exist with that. If a goat stood up, if Black Phillip walked into this room and sat down and goes, you want to live deliciously? I think I'd go, sure, let's do it. I'm all for it.
Would you guys watching this? Would y'all, if Black Phillip from the goat come up to you and ask the question, would you want to live deliciously? Would you say yes or would you say no? I mean, she said yeah, but she had done lost everything. So the witches was kind of like a biblical version, horror version of Job, but about witches. It was a Job story with witches. Job was a guy in the Bible that lost everything.
But the director shot this as if all this exists, as if you were in that time period and this actually happened. This is what happens at night in the darkness when you'd hear things. They believed this stuff hardcore, all that stuff. They believed it at that time period. They believed it hardcore, so that's when you watch that film, you have to have that mindset.
Norman says The Devil's Advocate had witches. That was a good movie. Mark, that just came to mind in Charm. They tried to kill off Phoebe in Charm. They tried to burn her alive for something that she supposedly killed someone, but she didn't. So they made the episode to believe that they were going to kill her.
A lot of Charm.
She was a good witch. And Chris says, I believe in dark and white witches. I strongly believe they exist. Michael says, I dated a green witch. She and her witchy friends do meet. It's positive energy. If energy can be manipulated, then it works. If energy can be used for good, then the opposite should be true. Angela says Black Phillip for president.
Hell yeah.
Scott says he would be tempted. Vicky says I would say, did that goat talk or was that the weed?
Well, I always talk about that. In the Bible when when the snake comes up and says, hey, you should, eat the apple. The Bible doesn't say Eve. What? Holy shit! A talking snake. Nobody, they don't question him talking. Like I think that's more amazing than anything that the snake was talking.
Michael says the witch was amazingly totally immersive in the time period, which made it real.
Hell yeah.
Chris says, I say yes, LOL. Marks is reading my mind. The Blair Witch movie for 2016 was not a remake. We know that now. The Nerd Report in the house, keeping us honest and nerdy.
Wait, is that Lewis? Who's the Nerd Report?
That's Lewis.
Oh.
Yeah, we recovered it. It wasn't a remake, it was a reboot, but, they were trying to remake it as found footage. Liz says, I'll probably say yes. I'm pretty much doing it now. Mine too. It's far-fetched, but I do believe in a lot of stuff, witches, ghosts, UFOs, because I choose to believe. I want weird stuff like that to exist because it would make the world a more interesting place.
Hell yeah. I love all that. I want all that to exist. I believe it does. I've had so many bizarre paranormal, incidents, but I still, there's still a voice in my head go, but I do love it.
Morbid Mind said the scene with the witch using the baby fat to make her broom take flight is so as close to lure as you could get.
Hey, on these broomsticks, isn't that a sexual reference that the witches? I mean, they wasn't supposed to ride it. It was supposed to be like up their vaginas. That's how they moved around. It's like that's always tripped me out.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
All right. No.
I don't know nothing about that. Hey, but for the record, I want to clear everybody up because sometimes I say stuff and people like I understand that the Blair Witch, the newer one, I think Adam directed it, is a sequel where the guy's going to find his sister from the first one. I misspoke and said it was a remake just because my mind's going all crazy sometimes and I just say crap and blurt it out. But yes, it is a reboot type of modernization. They tried to make it found footage, but it didn't work. The reason it worked the first time is because that director really didn't have a budget. He had no choice but to make it the way he made it. And when you have a huge budget, it's hard to shoot like you don't have a huge budget when you do have a huge budget. Cleared air on that one. I know people going to be blowing up my inbox. How does Sergeant Horror not know that wasn't a remake?
Yeah, well, believe me, when I said the statement about the broom going up their vagina, I think they forgot all about your saying that was a remake.
Mark and Horror, you both are amazing. I appreciate that, Chris. I'm not letting any talking animal stuff the promise of a delicious life or a used car. There are people who think they are witches. I still have a black and white magic book, have it since my teens.
I have tons of them. I love them.
Chris says Bewitched is good too.
Yeah.
Sorry about the double post. My phone is going nuts. No need to be sorry. I'm glad you tuned in, Nerd Report. Let's hear the dirty witch jokes, please. No.
I got some bad ones.
Yes, the broomstick is a phallic symbol. The pointy hat is as well. The mystery of witches was wrapped up in repressed sexuality of the time.
Oh.
Interesting. And so, we talked about the autopsy of Jane Doe. Let's talk. I think if y'all guys haven't seen that, that's a really good movie. The Witches, I would say, is the most accurate as far as like making me feel like witches of yesteryears. Especially with the history of the time period, and I just didn't feel like it had enough action in it. It was just like watching Black Phillip eat goat and that guy chop wood and. Where's my dad's cup? Where's my dad's cup? Where's my dad's cup?
Did you like The Lighthouse? Same guy.
Hell no, I ain't watching no Lighthouse.
All right.
I watched the trailer of that, and they just standing there going,
All right, let's
No,
move on. Brilliant, by the way.
I'm just not that type of person, man. I want to see people cutting up. I want to see like Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff. I mean, I
Hey,
want to see some.
do you remember the original commercial for Suspiria?
Nah.
The original commercial was this girl brushing her hair, and it was just the back of her, and it would go, "Roses are red, violets are blue." I don't remember what it, but we'll kill you. And she would spin around, and it was a skeleton, and they played it like at 3 o'clock in the morning. So if you fell asleep with the TV on, this would wake you up. And I remember being babysitting like one of my sister's kids and stuff, and just getting scared out of my mind. And then they'd show the Suspiria logo, and it was like guts that was spelled out Suspiria, and they were pulsing. It was an amazing commercial. I remember that. It was amazing, and it's one of those commercials that stuck in my head forever.
Now, Vicky wants to know: have you ever attempted a spell from the books you have?
No, I have a cursed skull, which is very difficult to have because it's a human skull, and it has a crack in its head, and you put a curse in, you write a curse, and you're supposed to put it in its head, and all that skull does is think about that curse. It's a human skull. I mean, if you guys want, you could go get me on Horror Icona. I'll send you. I'll show you a photo. And it's frightening. The skull's frightening. I have it literally in a metal box locked up. But I have never had the balls. As much as I've hated people, I've never had the balls to put a curse on it, because what I was told, that if I do put a curse on somebody, for whatever reason, that person, I'm cursing them, say they stole something. If I ever steal anything, that curse comes back 5 times as bad on me. So I have to be righteous and never do whatever I'm putting this curse on this person. So as much as I don't know if this stuff exists, I don't want to take that chance. I'm very much afraid of any curses. I do like, in those spell books, most of the stuff they have are ways to ward off evil. Things like the word abracadabra. Abracadabra is used, Bugs Bunny, abracadabra, hocus pocus is an extremely powerful word in spirits and witch guides and stuff like that. And it's to ward off evil. I do dig that. I have done stuff like that. I've made charms just in case. I have done stuff only because if evil exists, and I don't want to conjure it up, or I don't want to be around it. I want to have, if evil exists, I want to have what they have to keep it away from me. But I've done charms, but I've never did any type of curses on anyone ever.
I have the human skull in yonder.
Yeah,
Sitting on the counter.
I don't have. I have this in a metal box. This thing's evil.
It's just it's a human skull. It's got antlers on it.
Wait, yeah, this one's got, mine has horns.
Yeah,
probably deer horns. Yeah,
it's some kind of African deer horns on it. And then I got skull caps and vertebrae and haunted dolls and my haunted painting from the Clown Motel.
I have haunted dolls. I have like books, and I have charms and candles, but I don't have any of it displayed. I have everything put away.
Now, one of the movies, would you consider? I know this is PG-13 horror, which sometimes I'm will admit sometimes they do PG-13 horror, and I kind of like it, but I kind of like Drag Me to Hell. I mean, it was a gypsy that put a curse on, so you can kind of say that was
and gypsies do curses. They're not witches, but they have curses. The evil eye exists. My problem is I was doing Piranha 3D at the time, and we went to a theater to watch it, and everybody was so obnoxious that I was angry at the movie, and I blamed the movie for it. But it was Sam Raimi, and there were great moments in that movie. But I wish it was a little bit gorier. I think it could have been. I think it'd been a lot better if it was more gore.
Yeah, I forgot that was Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Chris says, "Try the truth spell, Mark."
Hell no.
And Michael says white witches, Wiccans believe in threefold, fivefold rule. Whereas says the craft. The craft is good. That's going to be a hard one to reboot / remake.
I see how they're going to do it. I don't think it's going to be badass. I think it's going to be very Hollywood and very pretty.
Michael says,
there's a gypsy. We can talk about gypsy curses because those things supposed to exist.
Yeah. And the other one that I was kind of thinking of is that Louisiana, magic with the skeleton key. That was one of my favorite movies too.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that one.
With the that whole Bayou of Louisiana with the record thing. That was a very.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I saw it, but
I'm shocked. I'm not gonna lie to everybody watching. I'm shocked that so many people chimed in and said they like Lords of Salem.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm blown away. Yeah.
That kind of got me because it's one of those movies I think you either get it and appreciate it, and I forget her last name, but Meg did a great job playing the witch.
Yeah. Now, what Hereditary wasn't? It had that Rosemary Baby vibe. They were witches, weren't they? At the very end, they're all witches, right?
Yeah, Hereditary was another one that was just like slow as hell. I was like, damn.
Yeah, but there's a couple scenes the little sister's head getting knocked off and the ants on it. You had me at that. I love that. I love the homage to Exorcist 3 where they're crawling up the walls and stuff like that. Stuff like that. I love. I like that.
I was gotta pace the movie right, and those movies aren't paced for what I like.
Right.
I could take a nap during those movies and wake up and still not have missed nothing. It's really. It all boils down to personal taste.
I love them. My curse skull is from a gypsy. I did get it. Had nothing to do with witchcraft. It was a gypsy that gave it to me.
Chelsea says, "What the hell is this? This is just us hanging out talking about horror movies. Join us in
talking about witches. My witch."
I can say hi, Chelsea. Say hi, Chelsea. Mark. Hi.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea. Thank you for joining us.
Anybody out there do a curse? You ever curse somebody? You ever come up with some kind of black magic? Burn candles? Burn.
What about the sea witch on Pirates of the Caribbean? I hadn't seen that.
She was great.
Ari Aisher is amazing. Midsummer was awesome.
I like the jump on Midsummer. That was my favorite part. The guy jumping off the cliff.
I like the ending with the bears. And that was another one that just didn't pace good. I'm a firm believer that you need to open it up with a kill or some kind of action or sex. Then by 16 to 19 minutes, you need to have the killing and the action sequence start. You don't let the people wait that long for the payoff.
Well, it's like a Bond movie. A Bond movie always starts with an unbelievable stunt, unbelievable action setup. It's always mind-blowing. You watch a Bond movie, when it comes out, mind-blowing beginning. Now, during the film, it's going to outdo that. And that's what makes Bond movies. That's the reason why we have so many Bond movies, because they outdo that. And, I think horror films need to do that. They need to come up with a brilliant, frightening, it doesn't have to be a kill, but it has to be frightening at the very beginning. And then by the end of the movie, they have to outdo that. And that's entertainment.
Yeah. Chelsea says, this is so neat. I put spells on people who cut me off in the passing lane. Road rage spells.
I like it.
We got Agent Poppy Poops. Poopy Poop Poops.
I love
That's
this
an
guy.
interesting username there. Agent says, I know that's you, Noel. You're not fooling me. You got me. I guess I'm Noel. You could get all that on the first season of Sopranos. The ending of The Craft was awesome. where they brought out all the snakes to scare the crap out of the poor girl. And it's a toss up for me. If you talk about strictly horror, my favorite witch movie is The Craft.
Oh,
Horror comedy is Hocus Pocus.
it's a tradition. Hocus Pocus every Halloween.
And Season of the Witch.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Halloween 3.
And Jed says, Sergeant Horror, you are a thing of beauty. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Beauty's only skin deep is what's on the inside. But I mean, I look at this, like I said, for me, witch movies, Hocus Pocus is just classic. The Witch is good, but it's so damn slow. But I would say my favorite would have to be The Autopsy of Jane Doe and The Craft.
Yeah, I thought Autopsy was a brilliant movie. I think as far as witch movies go, I think that's my kind of movie. You know, Bill Book and Candle is, I think, the sexiest of witch movies, and The Autopsy of Jane Doe is the creepiest for me.
Liz says it wasn't a curse, but a coworker was running her mouth, and I went to another coworker or friend who practiced whatever that is, Santeria.
I don't practice Santeria.
I ain't got no crystal ball. And she gave me the steps to quiet that person that worked.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really powerful. Have you watched any of what is City of Angels is all about that's going around right now? Penny Dreadful, the new Penny Dreadful is all about
that. Vicky says, are they still making a number 2 on Hocus Pocus? Have you heard anything on that, Mark?
You know what? I vaguely heard that they're getting the actual actresses to do it. So yeah, I vaguely heard that there was something about it. It is happening. Maybe I can work on it.
It says Season of the Witch is good, not the movie Halloween one.
Oh, there's another one? Damn it.
I guess so. Courtney said, just subbed on YouTube. Appreciate you joining us, Courtney. Said, this is amazing. Yeah, we're just hanging out, talking to horror witch movies. You know, I mean, this is the thing is if you believe in witches, the fact that somebody could curse you, that's a pretty scary thing, you know. But if you don't really believe in it, I believe the person gives the curse power. So, like, if you believe somebody gave you or put a negative curse on you, you can make that curse happen, you know. Just power of thought.
I agree. I think, you know, if you could do it in a creepy way, because you're not going to believe you're going to actually curse them, I don't think. But if you could do it in a creepy way and let the person know that you're angry, you know, you want to get revenge on him, that he's got a curse on him, everything that goes wrong in his life, he's going to think it's that curse. You know, that's the reason a lot of these elderly women that lived up in the mountains got burnt, because like if somebody had like a 2-headed cow born, they'd think they had a curse on them, and they'd look through their town thinking, who could possibly be the witch that would do this? And they'd look at her, and she, you know, she's all alone. She has her little cabin up in the woods, and, you know, doing herbs and stuff, and they'd drag her out and kill her because they were so paranoid of witchcraft. I think a lot of people, if you can convince them that you're powerful and, you know demonology and witchcraft and all these curses, you could scare the living hell out of people.
Jen says, I am actually a wand carrying witch.
Wow. Oh yeah, Harry Potter. Look at that show. You know, there's a big witch show.
Kyle says Hansel Gretel's Witch Hunters movie was pretty good, but I like the witches with Angelina Houston as the Grand High Witch.
Yep.
Liz says, I believe that if you believe it hard enough, you give the witch power. Chris says, do you guys think there will be a second Lords of Salem horror?
I didn't before this podcast, and now I'm starting to think that they might, if we have that many people wanting to see it. Rob will do it.
I don't think Rob would do it. I mean, he caught so much crap for that.
Yeah, but he talked crap about Halloween, and then he did Halloween too. So, yeah, if he could do it his way and had money, he'd do it. Because, you know, especially if there was an outcry for it, he'd do it. Hell,
Yeah.
I'd be on
I
set.
just don't see the outcry. I think we might have a handful of people that like it.
Well,
I mean, I don't really, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to it if it was done right. You know, at least it was some action in Lords of Salem. It was just weird for me. And it was a different sort of zombie movie. You know, I'm just such a big fan of Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses. And I even like 31, you know. We just need to have a Rob Zombie night and break down all his films.
Yeah, he loves horror films. That's why I like him.
Vicky says, wish you guys could be on every night. I really enjoy live chatting with you and all your guests. Appreciate that, Vicky. Jen says, I have a Cobra Craft wand. Oh, wow. I don't know what that is, but it sounds pretty scary.
Yeah, I know.
He said, none of that Hogwarts Child's Play.
Uh-oh. Sorry.
I wish Jen could put a little abracadabra on our YouTube and get us some more subs on here.
You know, the weirdest thing I ever read, and this, I'm not making this crap up, was in a box of Cracker Jacks. It was like a believe it or not kind of a thing. And one of the things it said was, and my mind exploded when I read this, abracadabra is the oldest living demon. Some say the father of God. And I was like, what the hell am I reading? And it was in a box of Cracker Jacks. It's the most amazing thing I think I've ever read.
Michael says, how about the movie Wicker Man, Witchy or Pagan? Pretty good.
That's pagan.
Vicky says, remember to stay insane and stay safe. Peace and love to you all. And Morbid Mind says, paranoia has a lot of decent people to sent a lot of decent people to their graves.
That's right.
Jay says, yes, a Rob Zombie night.
Well, you know what I could do is I could break out all my Halloween props, my actual Halloween props.
The goofiest movie Rob put out is Super.
That's funny.
I like that. I like the cartoon. We're gonna save that for we're gonna do a Rob Zombie night maybe pretty soon. You know, we're coming up on our. I wanted to throw out. What have you been watching here lately, or what do you plan on watching this week, Mark?
Oh man, I should have thought you were gonna. Is anything I'm watching lately? No, there's nothing. I mean, I'm always looking for stuff. I think I've mentioned I liked hide and seek. Is it hide and seek? I liked Hunt. I was surprised that Hunt was good. You know what I watched that a lot of people liked it, and I liked part of it, but it looks like they just ran out of money. It's called Beach House. Have you seen this?
No.
No, it's good up to a point, and then they just kind of like lose their money. It's fairly new, so I won't talk much about it. But it is good, really solid to a point, and I don't know, it just falls flat for me.
Yeah, I would watch the older movie called The Shadow People, where the people were dying in their sleep because they see a shadow people.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
That's a pretty good older movie that's worth definitely taking a rewatch. You know, it's like I'm getting to the point now where I'm going through Netflix. I go through, you know, Amazon, all the channels, TV. It is getting harder and harder to find original good horror content. So if you guys have a recommendation for me and Mark, feel free to leave it in the comments and let us know what you guys have been watching. Do you have any last words, Mark?
You know, I once again, I just want to say that, you know, ignorance is the reason why we killed so many people during the Inquisitions. You know, there was taking power and killing other people, you know, or taking advantage of people because they're poor or they're weak. It's, you know, it's been something we've been doing for decades, and I'm glad that people are trying to change that. I'm not going to get into anything, but I'm glad people are now starting to stand up to that, because we have to stand up to that. We got to stop letting these people walk all over us, and that's all I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, that's it.
Well, I just say this, man. Y'all guys, I appreciate everybody watching us on here. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitch, broadcasting this out. If you have a suggestion for a topic or you have an horror movie you want to discuss with us, drop it in the comments, because what this is about is us coming together as a horror community, hanging out and having good fun. Because at the end of the day, you want to have some good fun in life. You want to be kind and respectful to others, and just stay safe out there and stay positive. And I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you, Mark. And we appreciate you guys watching. Come back and tune in us again on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about some crazy stuff. Got something up my sleeve planned. Y'all guys take care and have a good night. We appreciate you. Sergeant Horror for Mad Monster out.
Adios, folks. Thank you so much for viewing. I really enjoyed doing this with you guys.